Committee meeting, Fraser Valley Regional District to order. The first item actually is a very sad one. Many of you will notice that we have an empty chair at the table today, and that's because we are sharing today to great sadness one of our regional directors, Terry Raymond, passed away last week after his long journey with cancer. So those of you who are joining us who didn't know Director Raymond, he was a fixture here at the Fraser Valley Regional District and served more than 20 years as elected representative of electoral area A. So obviously on behalf of the board and the Regional Corporate Services Committee, who he was a member of, we want to express our condolences to his family and many constituents that that Terry interacted with and made a real change in their lives. He was I've said this in the press release that we issued, and when I extended my condolences to his family, I also mentioned that I always appreciated Terry's humor and quick wit, and but he always never missed an opportunity to remind me how important it was to remember the small guys, the small communities in the rural areas, and he was a real champion of rural British Columbia, and I counted on him as he was a past chair, as a mentor and a friend. So again, it's very sad that we have to share this news. The one thing Terry would definitely want to make the committee aware of is how many days there are between now and Christmas. So somebody needs to do that math for me before the end of the meeting is up. But again, we share our condolences with Terry's family and constituents. So let's move to the next item, Ms. Kinnaman, and we'll have more to say about how we're going to celebrate Terry's legacy at our full board meeting later this month. Ms. Kinnaman, next item.
Thank you, Chair Lum. So looking for approval of the agenda, and late items.
Thank you. It's moved by Director Ross and second by Director Blue. Any changes to the agenda? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, if any? Item carries. Next item.
Next item is 4.1. We have the British Columbia Social Procurement Initiative, and I believe we have a few members on the line.
Sure. So I'm going to turn it over to the only member that I recognize on the line there, and maybe you can introduce who you've got with you. I see Karen Elliott there, Mayor Elliott from Squamish.
Good morning, Chair Lum, and good morning to committee members. My name is Karen Elliott, and I'm the Mayor of Squamish. And I'm also co-chair of the BC Social Procurement Initiative, along with Colleen Evans, who is a councillor in Campbell River. And this morning, I am joined by David LePage from Buy Social Canada. Buy Social Canada is a partner with us in the BC Social Procurement Initiative. And I appreciate taking some of your time today to talk about the BC Social Procurement Initiative, we call it BCSPI, and encourage your membership. And so we've got about a 10-minute presentation that David will provide. I just want to say that my journey into social procurement started in 2019. I was fortunate enough to travel to the Norwegian Arctic, and on the way I stopped in Oslo and had a chance to speak to some city officials there and started to learn about how they were using social procurement to both accelerate their climate initiatives, but also other initiatives, social initiatives within the city. And it really intrigued me. So I came back and started a conversation in Squamish with our procurement manager, but also with other mayors on Vancouver Island, including Mayor Helps and Mayor Osborne at the time. And that is where I learned about our predecessor, the coastal, it was a coastal initiative of Vancouver Island AVICC. And last year in June, the province invested $500,000 in BCSPI to now make this a province-wide initiative. They saw the benefit of local governments taking a more values-based approach to procurement and how they can support resiliency and recovery from the pandemic. And now I would like to add, and natural disasters using social procurement values. So I think this is a really important conversation. Happy to answer any questions you have, and I'll turn it over to David to introduce himself and share the presentation.
Great, thanks, Karen. And just to confirm, are we okay if we do a PowerPoint through a shared screen, or would you prefer not, Mr. Chairperson?
Oh, absolutely. You can share your screen. I think we've got the technology to do that. Yeah, we can see your screen now.
So I'll do a very quick presentation, and I'm David LePage from Social Canada, and Social Canada is one of the partners in the BC Social Procurement Initiative. We're a social enterprise that works across Canada to promote and support the use of social procurement. And just very simply, when we start to look at things like what we're doing, we started to look at how much money the public sector is spending, and it's billions of dollars when we think about how much annually. And then we start to realize how much is already being spent locally and how much power the public sector spending has. We start to realize, though, also what would happen if we intentionally leveraged social, environmental, and ethical value from our existing purchasing. So rather than just now, as we do, seeking suppliers, we're basically often looking at just an economic transaction. We're looking at, who can provide the what we need at the lowest cost. But we also recognize, as Karen pointed out, that our communities are really facing some complex issues, whether it's, the environmental crisis we face, or whether it's the social issues around homelessness, integration of persons facing barriers to employment. How can our purchasing become another tool to help us look at how we can face and address some of these issues? So it's not just about buying local, it's about buying with a purpose. So it's really trying to use and leverage procurement to look at how can that economic transaction actually build community and build community capital. So if we think about it in procurement and social procurement, we still need to get the things we need, whether it's the fire trucks, or whether it's the office supplies, or the great coffee for your meeting. All those things still need to happen, and we still need to have transactions and be competitive and look at quality and look at price. But what happens when we start to add a social value? We actually change that existing procurement from just that economic transaction into building community. It becomes a tool for building healthy communities. So some of the things that means, we become more resilient. We have stronger local economies. We have more inclusive employment and apprenticeship opportunities. We start to look at not only our purchasing, but the purchasing of our major suppliers, because oftentimes government cannot always unbundle. They're going to have big purchasing. But what does that mean in terms of creating ethical purchasing, living wage requirements, fair trade considerations, things around the environment and sustainability, talking about equity and inclusion and diversity. So we're really trying to take that existing procurement and create the values we're looking at in community. We look at this in two streams. One of them is that purchasing of goods and service, and the other is how do we leverage the infrastructure investments and the construction we do as well. There are a number of tactics that governments can use. One of them is using the below the threshold purchasing, where we can direct who we buy from and how we buy. Another one is adding social value criteria when we do our purchasing. An example, the city of Calgary adds a social value questionnaire on every RFP that they issue. Karen can talk about how the municipality of Squamish is including it in their everyday purchasing. Sometimes unbundling will work, where larger contracts can actually include local opportunities and social value. And then we look at the supply chain of who we're working with. And then we talk about how do we integrate social procurement into our existing purchasing. There's some myths that we always need to clarify. We often hear from government that they feel trade agreements won't allow this to happen. The trade agreements definitely are there, they apply, but they don't exclude social procurement. Also, we hear that social procurement is going to cost more, and there's actually no evidence. In fact, the municipality of Comox on Vancouver Island just recently finished a major project. They came in with below budget and with higher than expected apprenticeship hours for local youth. And then we think sometimes maybe we have to give up quality. And we don't give up quality because we're still waiting every purchase for the quality and the technical needs we have. We're still weighting price significantly. It's just adding another consideration. And we wonder, are there enough suppliers? And we know that there may not be this perfect supplier every time, but if we use a concentric circle consideration and we think, okay, we don't have a social value supplier, maybe we have a local, maybe we have an indigenous owned business, we can actually start to look at, how this can have an impact and what's the greatest impact we can have. And so how do we do this and how does it work? So that's where we started and brought together this coalition. And as Karen mentioned, it was first, Mayor Osborne, who's now Minister Osborne, and and the Mayor of Victoria, who got together and said, together, working with local governments, we can actually learn together and we can share best practices, we can get some support. So from the Vancouver Island project became the BC Social Procurement Initiative. And what we do is collectively provide training, consultation, support. We have examples of what other municipalities have done in terms of practice, an entire online resource with templates and guides and case studies in a knowledge hub. So lots of not only just engagement, but the support and very specific consulting specific to the municipality or the community or the region that might be a partner. And it's a journey because it's not linear all the time, but it really looks at where are you on the journey? Where can we be supportive? And where can other groups, things like we regularly have community of practices where the different municipalities and regions will get together and share and learn together. So it's a journey, it's a path that we support you on. And some of the impact, we currently have 32 participating governments and organizations. There's $250 million of social procurement spend that we've measured and over 100 pilot projects that have gone through the process. Here's an example of some of the members, everything from Duncan, Port Alberni, Nanaimo, CVRD, Comox Valley, so all across the province. And what this is really, it's led by the local government and is being done by local government, by Social Canada and others that were here to support it, but it's really a leadership team that's made up of all the members. So we work to help identify and connect you with suppliers and vendors. We help you with measuring your impact, and we are working with SCALE, which is a social impact expertise based in Victoria. Vancouver Island Construction Association is our partner in the construction, and Presentations Plus is our partner in Larry Berglund, who really brings the support on the experience of being a procurement expert. So it's very easy, affordable, impactful. The cost is scalable to community. And it's really about how can we help you create greater value with the money you're already spending. So be glad to answer any questions. Rob's information is here, and he is the lead on this project from scale, but away on holiday. So I'm just filling in. So Karen and I can answer any questions now.
Thank you, David, and thank you, Karen. I think that was the first time we've had a delegate actually stick to the 10-minute mark of their presentation. So well done. I've got a question from Director Patricia Ross.
Well, not actually a question. One of my questions was answered quite well. I was concerned about how trade agreements might impede this initiative, but you've answered that well, as well as the cost. But I just want to say, like, I fully support this initiative because I think the concept of sustainability is pretty much these days embedded into most of our practices and our goals. But I think where we've failed a little bit is to fully consider social issues. We're bringing in environmental issues along with economic, but we're not truly sustainable unless we give equal importance to economic, environmental, and social. And I think the social piece is where, you know, we as a society, and I'm not just speaking our organization, has kind of failed. And I think we have to bring that up. So thank you for bringing this forward.
Thank you. Other questions or comments from board directors?
Yes, Chair Lum, Director Horn.
Yeah, go ahead, Director Horn.
Two questions for our delegates, and then a question or comment for the board as a whole. As an elected person, I think our job often when we're sitting in these committees is to go back and translate to our local councils the messaging. But as Chair Lum said, I think you've done it so well and so concisely here. I wonder at whether or not there's an availability within your team for sharing the message at local councils, and also whether or not you can give us a bit of an identifier of how many local councils, British Columbian councils, are doing this right now.
That's a great question, Director Horn, and we will present to as many councils as it takes to take this province-wide. So I've got a number in my calendar this month. We've got 32 members right now. We have other memberships pending. And right now we're looking for those champions in each region. So I know there are representatives here from many of the municipalities in the Fraser Valley Regional District. So happy to present to your councils, and yeah, just let me know, or Rob Fisher know.
We'll definitely follow up with you on that. Thank you so much. And then my comment to the committee, Chair Lum, is how we might, and this is through you, I guess, to staff, how we might proceed with having our procurement policy be considered with this in mind, if there are steps that staff would suggest we take.
Yeah, I think part of the method to the madness on this was to get this presentation in front of our committee. I mentioned to Mayor Elliott that this makes up all of the mayors of our region, as well as members from our electoral areas services committee in the electoral areas. And so as an introductory kind of presentation, we're looking at, hopefully we can get some of the supplementary information that was presented here today, and just refer it back to our staff so they can take a deeper dive into this and look at, you know, what are the further considerations that we have in terms of membership. The question I have, and obviously is probably weighing on everybody's mind here, is what does membership look like? How much are we looking to invest, and where, you know, are there other? I saw the screen a little bit quickly there, but I didn't see other regional districts on there. Would we be the first regional district? Where regional districts are obviously a little bit different than municipalities, but certainly those are the kind of questions that I would have.
Happy to answer that, Chair Lum. Membership is the same as your area association membership fee. So what you pay into Lower Mainland LGA. We do have other regional districts. Nanaimo Regional District is a member. Cothette is a regional district member.
Alberni, Clayoquot,
Alberni Clayoquot is on there.
Strathcona.
Strathcona, thank you, David. And SLRD is a pending member. We've presented to that board as well. So absolutely, there is a focus on regional districts as well as municipalities. And I think one of the benefits of referring this to your staff is that it really is a journey that can be different, as David said, for each member. And so we start with where you're at. And some people are further along in the journey already, but others are right at the beginning, and you get to go at your own pace. And what I really appreciated about this is that it's not a one approach fits all. So the values that we have chosen to focus on in Squamish reflect the values of our community, and those would be different than other communities. So you know, we focus on living wage because of the cost of living here. We focus on GHG emissions because we've made a commitment to net zero. So there's things that we've chosen to focus on in our procurement that other communities, as David said, are focusing on apprenticeships for local folks. Or First Nations involvement in the economy. So it can be tailored to what is the focus of the FVRD and the values that this board wants to reflect in their purchasing.
Great. It's very, very helpful, and also helpful with your response to Mayor Horn, and you will make sure we circulate contact info to anyone who any of our member municipalities who would like to receive the presentation to their respective councils. Was there other questions or comments from board directors? I don't see any more. So with that, just again wanted to thank you for your presentation. When we had this discussion, Karen, I thought it was very very interesting, and you know, this definitely gives us a lot, you know, to consider and think about. So I'm looking, maybe Director Horn, maybe we want to refer this initiative to staff for further further exploration.
I guess I'll move it. I'll move that we bring that recommendation to the next board meeting, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Do the recommendation to refer? That's what we're like. Just I'm looking at
exactly
Miss Kinnaman here, and I'm just making sure it's clear that we're referring this back to staff and or recommendation to refer. Yeah,
precisely. Thank you.
Been moved by Director Horn, second by Director Ross. All in favor? Opposed, if any? The item carries. Thank you. And
thank you very much, Chair Lum.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Kinnaman, next item.
Thank you, Chair Lum. So item 5.1 is the draft Regional and Corporate Services Committee meeting minutes of March 10th, 2022.
So moved.
Moved by Director Facio, seconded by Director Stobart. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed, if any? Item carries. Next item.
6.1, we have the Fraser Valley Regional District Security Issuing Bylaw number 1655.
Thank you. That's moved by Director Dickey, seconded by Director Dixon. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed, if any? Item carries. Next item.
6.2 is the Fraser Valley Regional District Vetter River Campground Amendment Bylaw number 1660.
Thank you. It's moved by Director Popov, seconded by Director Stobart. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed, if any? The item carries. Next item.
Item 7.1.1 is radon testing and awareness in the Fraser Valley. There's a motion for your consideration.
Thank you. It's moved by Director Stobart, second by Director Dickey. Discussion. I do know that this item came up as a question from one of our municipal members, like a member of our council in Chilliwack, who had asked about this. And there, this was something that perhaps wasn't on the top of the list of priorities in Chilliwack, but certainly very important. So I'm glad to see us looking at supporting BC Lung to look at gathering this data around each of our respective communities. So, this is an important thing. On the question, all in favor, opposed to, oh, sorry, Al. Sorry, Director Stowart.
Thank you.
Director Al.
I'm just curious. I know about 20 years ago, Health Canada, with a number of federal departments, did an awful lot of testing in the area. Department of Fisheries and Oceans was involved. All our facilities were checked, and I know some of the other organizations or some of the other departments were as well. So I'm hoping that data is still available, because we did find some very surprising results. And I think one of the highs we found was at Inch Creek Hatchery in Dudney in our aeration room. And we had a very high level of radon, which was later looked after. But there was a fair bit of testing done, and sometimes that data after 20 years gets shelved, and people don't know where it exists. But it's still out there, or at least there's some.
Yeah, that's a good point, and that was some of the commentary that I had, the conversation that I had with one of our council members, was that there's quite a big variability in the levels around. So just getting a better understanding of even that, just like it could be right, like you said, right across the river, and it's lower here, but it's much higher in different places. So yeah, this is definitely hope that that data is available and help fill in some gaps. Any other comments, questions?
Director Horn here.
Go ahead, Director Horn.
I learned more in this report about radon than I have in the 40 years I've been hearing about it. And it occurs to me that the community probably doesn't understand any more than I do about it. And so my question through you, Mr. Chair, to staff is there any thought about how we would support this data collection with some communications?
Ms. Kinnaman.
Thank you, Chair Lum. I think I will turn this over to Stacey Barker, who oversees this department. I think she would probably be best to answer that one.
Ms. Barker.
Thank you. We are pleased that radon has actually been mentioned in our newly released air quality management plan. So within our air quality management plan, we do talk about providing education to the public. So it's something that the board has already directed us to do. So this fits right in. We will work with BC Lung to see what type of material they have, and we can help distribute that to the various municipalities. And if we need additional information, we can work with our communications crew to get that together as well. Thank you.
Much appreciated.
Excellent. Okay, any other comments or questions? Nope, don't see any. I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed, if any? Item carries. Next item.
7.2.1 is the Sta'elas First Nation and the Province of British Columbia Reconciliation Agreement. This is an information item. You will recall that we had a presentation in the past, but staff are certainly happy to answer any questions that you might have at this time.
Thank you. Any questions? Nope, don't hear any. Myself and Director Bales were involved in a presentation from Sta'elas, and it was actually a very, very good presentation, very comprehensive. And so obviously we wish our neighbors very well in this agreement as they move forward. Next item.
7.3.1 is the Island 22 Regional Parks Boat Launch Update. Again, an information item, but happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions on this item? This one came up where there was some concerns raised by some of the stakeholders, I think, in and around that use Island 22. And from what I understand, there was some prompt action that was taken. And I just want to take an opportunity to thank our park staff. And I know they work closely with the city of Chilliwack as well to undertake some of the requests that were made. And I understand that I think that gate move is already complete. And there was a bunch of work that was completed there. just in time for the weather to get nice. So well done. Don't see any other questions. Next item.
7.3.2, Canada Day 2022, Hope and Area Recreation. I'm sure that many in the community are excited about the return of this event, but again, happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? Don't see any. Next item.
7.3.3 is Sumas Mountain Regional Park Parking Area License of Occupation. There's a motion for your consideration.
Thank you. That's moved by Director Dickey, seconded by Director Horn. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor. Opposed, if any, the item carries. Next item.
8.1 is the first quarter update for 2022. Lots going on in the regional district and happy to answer any questions on any of those projects.
Thank you. Any questions? Director Blue.
Thank you. Not a question, but just a thanks for all the work to bring forward the quarterly update. You know, we hear these things from time to time at the meetings, but it's just really nice to see everything all pulled together and to really look at the terrific work that our staff is doing and how it's benefiting each of the areas. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Director Blue. I don't see any other comments. Yeah, good. Okay, next item.
8.2 is the anti-racial discrimination and anti-racism policy. There's a motion for your consideration.
Thank you. It's moved by Director Ross, seconded by Director Facio. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor. Opposed, if any, item carries. Next item.
Moving down to item 10, which is reports by staff. At this time, I would like to introduce a new staff member who is joining us by Zoom today. Our new Manager of Recreation Services, Joe Dixon. I don't know if he has the availability to turn a camera on at his station, but I just wanted to take a chance to introduce Joe. Just let you know that Joe has a very strong background in recreation, primarily in events management. He is a semi-retired triathlete, as I understand, and was very active in Run Sport Victoria and dynamic race events, as well as Ironman Canada in organizing those events. And so with the item for Canada Day on the agenda, one of his first big orders of business, which I know is equal parts exciting and terrifying, he will be bringing this passion that he has for creating these unforgettable experiences. So welcome, Joe.
Welcome, Joe, and we look forward to you introducing the Ironman event to the Canada Day celebration. Any other reports from staff?
No, we can move to reports by directors. Chair Lum.
Thank you, board directors. Any reports? That would be the opportunity. Quiet bunch. Nope. Next item. Oh, sorry, Director Pranger. Did I miss you?
Just want to give a shout out and a thank you to the province and the federal government for the $10 million funding towards our new regional pool, indoor aquatic center. It's an exciting time for us. Lots of work to be done ahead in the future, but we've got a good start. So we're very pleased to be able to share that with the RACS committee.
Thank you, Director Pranger, and congratulations. Director Horn.
Just wanted to announce that Mission has recruited a new officer in charge, Inspector Ted Luco, who will serve not only, of course, the city of Mission, but the electoral areas to our east. And so he's busy meeting everybody. And I was going to suggest to Chair Lum that perhaps as part of these reports, there were a number of us on a call with Minister Farnworth and Minister Blair the other day, and I wondered if you might want to share some of the high points from that.
Sure. Yeah, I'd be happy to, Director Horn. I'll just check and see if there's any other director reports. Nope, don't see any. So as Director Horn mentioned, a number of us were invited to present to Minister of Public Safety, Minister Bill Blair, and Minister Mike Farnworth, and in Vancouver on Monday. what they wanted to hear of in advance of their intercabinet meeting was just to hear from some of the mayors and chairs across the region that were affected by the atmospheric river and overland flooding events. And so we each had an opportunity to have a conversation, share some of our challenges and concerns and some of what you know had kind of transpired on the ground. There's you know, obviously some significant interest from the federal government in working alongside both the province and local governments, and I think that was made apparent at the meeting that the federal government was coming with some support and resources. There was a few in the 2 days of meetings that we had. There was a few different numbers ranging from $4 billion to $5 billion to $9.5 billion being talked about. And shortly after that meeting, we started to see you know, some initial kind of disaster funding being released to some of the communities. So I think, you know, I came away from that meeting feeling fairly positive that the respective other orders of government understand how challenging the situation has been for local governments, being on the very front line initial response to these emergencies. And it's nice to see that recognition. The following day, I was invited to a meeting with 31 Coast Salish communities, and much of the same kind of experience through these events, and they shared a lot of their concerns and some of the challenges that they had that were unique to their communities with the respective ministers. And so I guess the other comment that I would have is that, you know, looking at the scale of the mitigative works and the different range of options for flood mitigation works that are required across the province, is that whatever that number may be, it's going to be very expensive. So certainly, I think some good first steps, and I know there's some announcements coming today as well around funding, and so it's a positive thing. And seeing no more reports from boards, next item.
Next item is item 12. It's public question period for items relevant to the agenda. And we'll just turn things over to our corporate officer, Jamie Van Ness.
Ms. Van Ness.
So we have no members of the public joining us in the boardroom today. We have not received any letters with any questions. We do have one member of the public who is joining us by Zoom today, a guest. This would be your opportunity to ask a question relevant to the agenda. Oh, I see that caller is dropped off, so we can move ahead on our agenda.
Thank you. Next item.
Looking for a resolution to close the meeting, Chair Lum.
Thank you. So moved. Facio, seconded by Director Dixon. All in favor, opposed if any, item carries.
And we'll just recess for a couple of minutes to get the room set.
Okay,